how the music goes. That's... And that's probably alright. Lots of people messaging me. Sketch Therapy, thank you very much for becoming a bored citizen boy. Thanks, appreciate it. 1 second before we start, because I will just tweet out that I'm streaming. We're not going to be streaming for too long. Oh, sorry. That always, I just saw what was in my Twitter feed. They're not. Wow. What am I doing? I am live and talking about the Star Citizen 3.16 patch and whatever else you peeps wanna talk about. https:// if you'd like to ask any questions during the stream, just question in brackets or some form of highlight like that will allow me to actually see it. It does take me a while to see stuff in chat because I'm bad at read. Words hard bad. Bad hard words. Bam. Get rid of this. Do that. Close all this down. I think we're good. Hello. There's 7 people. Oh. Oh. I'm not logged in there. But I am logged in here. 07. Oh, yeah. Wow, I better talk about that as well. That's probably quite a good idea. Let's pop this chat out. And I'm streaming at a weird time, but I'm planning to be streaming a lot more over the next few days. Oh, I don't really mean a few days. I mean over Christmas and December in general, I suppose. Let's do this. Do that. Fiddle with these soundy boys. That's probably right. Tell me if it gets too loud or music's not audible. And bam. Hi. I'm BoredGamer. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are having a great start of December. How's it going? It's going all right. I've woken up slightly today, which is lovely. I've been pretty tired over the last few months. It's been stressful and tiring after the passing of my father. Been looking after my mother today. She's not in the best frame of mind today. She's very much missing my father, so I think that's fair enough. My brother's is taking some of my father's ashes to a Indian reservation in America, just to sort of take him around America. He's not going to deposit them there or anything, but they communicated with the tribe there, and they said, "We welcome your father into our lands to as part of his journey." And I was thinking, oh, that's actually very sweet. My father was really into Native American Indians, really into sort of American Civil War and a lot of stuff like this. So I think I think he always wanted to travel to America and sort of never did. Never had time because he was supporting his 3 sons and his wife. Legend. Premier Boris, thank you very much. Sorry, I apologise for going a bit off tangent immediately. Starting off tangent. Forehead is shiny, and lens flare is bad. Still love your content, you handsome twat. And I see I use the American version of the word, because for some reason in that word they see the A as an O. But I find it non-offensive at all if you say it like that, because it's not a real word! Thank you very much, Premier Boris. Much appreciated. 25 months is a long time to be subscribed to me, Prime or otherwise. That guy looks like he's really into the burger. What's going on? Oh, in the picture. I had a burger today. So I bought... This is some of the sort of pre-stream amble you get from me when you tune into a BoredGamer live stream. I used to be a sort of head chef and run restaurants and own restaurants and stuff. And I've been trying to rekindle my love of making burgers again. One of the places I used to run was a gourmet burger kitchen. And I bought some very expensive beef mince, some Wagyu steak beef mince, and I was like, okay, make a nice burger out of this. And it's got some added Wagyu fat in it as well, so it's got like good consistency. But I've been trying to work out how to make that into a burger and what I want to add to it. And I found that basically it comes down to adding a bit of Cumberland sausage into that is what I want to do for gourmet burgers when I cook them for my friends. And brioche buns. Don't add the brioche buns in, that would be madness. But have brioche buns with them. Oh, getting American burger cheese, I found very difficult in the UK at the moment. Although when I talked to Zin about that, she got angry at me and then posted 20 websites that have it on sale. Breezy Seashore, thank you very much. I appreciate the sub. Thank you. Right, should we have a bit of a look through questions? I wish you all the best. Hope you are feeling well, physically and emotionally. I'm doing pretty well. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. I'm looking forward to having some days off during Christmas and New Year. I am going to be taking days off, even if it does cause a little bit of disruption to the channel. But hopefully I should have stuff pre-recorded enough for it. Zin's obviously having days off because she's a normal human employee, whereas I'm a potato or an egg. I got used to working 7 days a week for starters, and even if it was short days, on some days, do you know what I mean? And I really love being able to do that. What does the burger symbolize? It symbolizes a burger. Graphics of a burger symbolizing a burger which is about to be eaten. Or is it capitalism or something? But it is capitalism. And a working distribution network. Colby O'Day! Hey, love your content and what you do for the Star Citizen community. You're an absolute legend. So sorry to hear about your father. He sounds like a good man. Oh no, my father was fantastic. He was genuinely a fantastic man. It's been a little while now, sort of, and I think I'm dealing with it pretty well. Sort of, it's as well as can be expected. Sort of, yeah, it was a tragic experience rather than a hellish experience, and I would define those as two very different things. We all have to go through tragedy, and we don't necessarily all have to go through hell. Lost my dad on the August 31st of this year. Oh, I feel very bored. I'm so sorry to hear that. Getting lots of frames lately in Star Citizen. Let's move on to more Star Citizen-y stuff. What do you think the Gravlev update will be or feel like? So it's supposed to be a significant overhaul to Gravlev, the Gravlev overhaul in 3.16. They supposed to have they had some groundbreaking tech experience or something. I don't know, but it should feel as part of their ground updates that they are starting to make for ground vehicles. It should make hover vehicles hug to the ground appropriately, move across the ground appropriately. I'm expecting just a smoother transition of movement, and you actually going, it's really useful to have floating bikes rather than being terrible trash monsters. An anonymous gift to give friend_me_please tier 1 sub. Thank you very much. I hope they appreciate it too. I know I do. So 32 gigs of RAM is still a bit more than you need gaming-wise for the most part, although it sort of is my recommended amount of RAM now. Sort of, I've been running at least 32 gigs of RAM for the last few years. And I was at 64 gigs of RAM before I made my current PC. But I downgraded to faster RAM because I was like, well, actually, for my use case, it's significantly better to go for a bit less RAM, but faster because I've got a 5950X AMD CPU, which the Infinity Fabric stuff likes faster RAM. Oh. And I wasn't using 64 gigs of RAM as much, especially with Zin doing a lot of my editing. Lucky Charmington, thank you very much for the bits. Very much appreciated. Shamrock, woo! Not sure if it's a spooky Shamrock or if it's a woo! As I said, question in brackets if you'd like to ask a question. I've just seen a load of questions pop up because I did not scroll down in my chat. So let's get through some of this. How am I doing, bored? I think I've answered that, and we'll probably be talking about that again in a bit. Will the new medical tool they add in the 3.16 cure my clinical depression? No. So even with the auto button, it doesn't cure clinical depression. You might want to talk to a clinical clinician about that. Clinical clinician. That's a bit of a tautology. A clinical psychologist or psychiatrist. Get appropriate help. I think it's beyond that of a computer game. What game will you cover as Star Citizen fails? I'll still cover Star Citizen. Because even in failure, it needs to be covered. Right? Cover Star Citizen. Hopefully you're going to get at least 10 more years of Star Citizen coverage out of me. Maybe more. Who knows? Let's see if we can get 20 years. Woo! 20 years, boys! And statistically, girl. But, I mean, I'll look at other games and stuff on the channel as well. I mean, I literally did a video yesterday about Starfield. Maybe Squadron 42 is going to be a good game. There are a lot of complaints about the size of 3.16, especially considering the financial popularity and success of the IAE. What are your thoughts? Well, I mean, the money made at the IAE doesn't necessarily translate directly into development speed for 3.16. 3.16 was a light patch before 3.15, and 3.15, well, 3.15 was delayed relatively large amount, and obviously 3.15.1 and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo was a bit of a larger affair this year with more content in it. Now, if they'd pushed the content from the IAE to 3.16, people would probably be like, oh, it's a reasonable size patch. There's still a reasonable amount coming in 3.16. Obviously, the roadmap is pretty light, but it does look like now that Cloud Imperium are trying to push that patch, at least in my opinion, and from the rumours I've heard, between the 17th and 24th of this month. So they are trying to get a live build out for this month, if possible. That's what it looks like. But we don't know exactly what's in the patch, because there could be some stuff beyond the roadmap that's in there, like the Dynamic Universe sim stuff. The start of that is supposed to be in it, but is it or not? We don't know. It's not on the roadmap, but it was talked about a couple of times about it actually being in there. Is there any missions beyond Jump Town? And Jump Town is a pretty big thing, and pretty important thing. Now, I would rather, genuinely rather, this is not an excuse for slow development, this is not an excuse for a tiny patch or anything, but I would rather a smaller patch and a working live patch at the end of the year, rather than something that's broken, but bigger. Yeah, I think that's fair to say that I assume a lot of people would agree with me on that. I mean, it's not mutually exclusive. We should be able to have a larger patch and a fully working patch, but you see what I mean. Lucky Jamington, we need a Starfarer mechanic in-game. Love that big ship. What do you mean a Starfarer mechanic? As in, you want the Starfarer working as a refueling ship, which is supposed to be in 3.17, I believe now. It got pushed back from 3.16. Or do you want it to, so that it's got its other features, like potentially being a refinery, potentially carrying a lot more actual fuel, potentially being a gas harvester, question mark. Maybe they should just tell us more about the Starfarer, please. There is one unannounced vehicle that is scheduled to be done within 2 weeks. I would expect that to be a mobile refinery ship that would be released live with 3.16. That would be my expectation. Lurch. What is Jump Town? So, original Jump Town, so this is a while ago, there was a hidden outpost which sold drugs, which you could then sell for huge profit. Yeah? Back in the golden age of cargo in Star Citizen's alpha. And that caused a huge amount of emergent gameplay, people locking down that outpost, people fighting each other for those resources, people queuing up. It was a huge mixture of orgs going to take it over, people sort of jumping and attacking each other there. Just lots and lots and lots of silly stuff, and all the types of things that you could imagine happening there. It was absolutely fantastic. It was genuinely a great laugh to be able to go, you know what, I'll go to Jumptown, there'll be some content to do there, even if it's just me making some money, or me fighting someone, or me protecting someone, or whatever, dealing with criminals, because technically it was an illegal good that they were buying, so lots of lawmakers or law protectors turned up and would shoot them, pew, 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 or whatever. So Jumptown version 2 is something they now want to put in the game, which is basically an outpost somewhere in Star Citizen will announce that it's going, bam, I am giving away free illegal drugs, that sort of thing, as a thing. Don't take that out of context. As a thing that they will be doing in the universe, that you can then go down there and lock down and take those commodities or whatever they're producing. Yeah, bam, and there'll be a lawful version of that mission, which is probably to destroy those commodities, and there'll be an outlaw version of that mission, which is to obviously seize them, or maybe there's not an outlaw version of the mission, maybe the rest of it's just seen as outlaw, but there's supposed to be lawful and unlawful versions, and sort of impetuses there, and and the idea there is that it will be in a different place for a different amount of time with different commodities, and it can happen every so often. And that will have the same sort of feel as Jumptown version 1 did, but actually be something that they can have permanently in the game. And really like the idea of it. We'll have to wait and see how that sort of emergent gameplay that they've sort of tried to guide a little bit pans out, right? Do you think we're going to see a letter from the chairman near Christmas? I would hope so. There's two things that I'm looking forward to later this month. It's the the Star Citizen financial report that Clan Imperium produces. So it shows a year in arrears, admittedly, but it shows their sort of how much money they've been making. It has a bit of a financial statement. Basically, talks to us as backers and people that are potentially investors or whatever, or shareholders. And sort of shows where they are with their financial health and where their sort of goal and aims are now, and how their company's expanded and all this sort of stuff. And it's very useful information for me and for people that are interested in that sort of thing. Thank you very much, Triac. Appreciated. Perfect. Super Mac Brothers, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the raid. Oh, you're a star. Thank you so much, sir. Hope you had a good stream. SMB, if you are still there, I am organising a Big Bar Citizen up in Manchester, and you and a few other people would like to be sort of guests of honour there. And if you'd like to come down, I'll grab you drinks. If you're, and we could, if for some reason it's financially not viable for you, we can talk about that as well. But I'll probably at the moment doing it Q2, probably. This is according to my poll, it's either Q1 or Q2 for next year, but looking more like Q2 now. But yeah, big Bar Citizen up in Manchester. I would love you coming down, basically. But we'll talk about that. I'll message you. Don't you worry if you're still there, if you're there at all. But thank you very much for the raid, whatever. What else we got here? Any news on the Ranger? No new news on the Ranger. However, we do know that Clan Imperium are doing that ground physics sort of update for vehicles at some point. I suspect that the Gravlev rework is part of that sort of whole ground-based experience. And then I would expect them to actually get the Ranger in Q1, probably Q2 of next year. That's my feel. When will CIG focus 100% on features and adding loops, not ships? They will never focus 100% on features. There are janitors, there are admin staff, there are marketing staff, and there are spaceships in this spaceships game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sparrow, look, my mods obviously looked at that and gone, don't swear or be civil. But that is a nice reference to the NordVPN ad. Appreciated. Also, good modding. Any news on, and that's what we literally just talked about. I had Gen 12 render is due for 3.16. No, that is incorrect. So, Gen 12 renderer stuff has been being put in since last patch. Well, actually, technically before that. But it's getting more and more Gen 12y. Yeah, and then eventually, within the next few patches, we should say the move over fully to Gen 12 renderer stuff and DirectX 11, and then hybrid DirectX 11 Vulkan, and then fully over to Vulkan. I like the Odyssey, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. However, I'm more interested in seeing the new Vandal ships make their way into the Persistent Universe and Arena Commander. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm not against the Odyssey. I've bought an upgrade for my character in Odyssey, and I'm going to wait to see the Q&A, and then I'm going to decide whether or not I want to apply that upgrade. But yeah, I'm hoping that with... So there are Vandal ship updates on the roadmap, on the actual release view. Is it for 3.18? Yeah, so Q2 2022, there's Pirate and Vandal Swarm improvements, and I would expect that to also update the Vandal ships. So getting the Scythe and the Glaive updated there to the new versions of it. Since the hull C was moved from 3.16, CIG won't have a patch without a ship or vehicle. Typically. It's not 100% true and necessary. Do you expect anything to drop? Well, there is something that's supposed to be finished within the next couple of weeks. I expect it's a mobile refinery. If it's not a mobile refinery ship, then you can probably expect them to have like a variant or different loadout for a ship or vehicle. Do you know what I mean? So what, you think I should be adding minced brisket to my burger? That's not an awful idea at all. It's just, I used to work in the kitchen, so when you say service during your stream, I shout, yes, chef. How high? I used to... It used to be... jump. How high used to be the response. When I was younger. Oh my god. I appreciate all my mods. You are all beautiful people. Sketch Therapy, Sammy Eddie, J Bird. Whoever the fuck else is here, pardon my French. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood. Are you from Britain? I'm from the United Kingdom, England more specifically. Do you think we will see the Odyssey in more detail somewhere next year? So the Odyssey, what's the Odyssey that's? So I believe the Odyssey is getting its concept and narrative work completed, planned for completion anyway, Q2 of next year. So then I would expect for them to actually start talking about it a lot more. When can order noodles in Star Citizen? Probably pretty soon, to be honest. Probably with the shop and Patreon update when they have it. Because I think they do want to have vendors being more active, and they probably will just go, you know what? You can eat these foods. You might eat it like this. Get a packet of noodles and go... and they disappear. Why I get 2 more free different ships other than my own on every update? Probably because they're updating loaners, or because you have a large ship that they go, well, this large ship is not appropriate for Arena Commander, so they give you a fighter or something smaller that you could use in Arena Commander. It can also be that you might have a ship that's too large to be spawned on a planet. What's coming first, the bounty merchantman or the Polaris? We don't 100% know. It looked originally to be the Polaris because they, Clan Pyramid said, oh, the Polaris is basically further along than the bounty merchantman. However, that may have flipped now. It looks like there's a lot of focus on the bounty merchantman. We don't know. They have not confirmed. Will the floodgates ever open? They're developing Star Citizen, and they're constantly adding things to it. So there is constantly work going on, and bringing it all together is really... So it's not really a floodgate situation. Having server meshing in-game is a core pillar that then allows a lot more content to come online. But you're not going to see like 12,000 features all be produced in one patch because it's come online, because that would be... That patch would be in testing for years. You see what I mean? So they're always going to make sure it's gated somewhat so that maybe not a trickle, but a stream can come through or a river can come through. They don't open the floodgates because that would be madness. Do you know anything about the upcoming mission changes? So we know there's scanning radar changes and emission changes, and physicalized components are going to make up a large portion of that as well, but I don't know the specifics of them. Would you recommend the Corsair for a mostly solo player? As long as you don't mind running it with NPC crew / AI blades, it will probably be okay. Although, if you're running it solo, it might be worth going for a smaller exploration ship. What do you think of the Redeemer being switched to a gunship instead of a dropship? So, originally to me, it was always going to be a dropship gunship hybrid, and then they went, you know what? We're going to make it into a full gunship because we've got loads of dropships. I think that's fair enough. And anyway, it's still got a little bit of dropshippiness in it, okay? And it might be modular, allowing for a dropship change in the future, you mark my words. Do you think the Gravlev update will affect the Nomad? Maybe slightly. I mean, it is technically Gravlevy in the way it lands, but it doesn't sort of scoot along the floor. But it mightn't after this update. What about wheeled ground vehicles? There is a ground vehicle update for physics stuff they are working on at the moment. Do you think we'll see an increase of gameplay features and content in patches once they hire more employees at their new Manchester office? I would expect so. I would expect with more devs and more employees, especially more devs and more managers, that they'll be able to work on more features and more content simultaneously. Could there be more graphics optimization in 3.16? Almost certainly. Almost certainly going to be some additional Gen 12 features there for their Gen 12 renderer and general optimizations. Can you check the deliverables list? I heard the Liberator begins work Q3 2023. So as far as I'm aware, it finishes its concept and narrative work in Q2. Let me actually have a look for you. Progress tracker. Deliverables. They've got the Myst Odyssey, and let's play out to a year. So yeah, the only thing we can see here, the Myst Odyssey, is that the narrative team and the vehicle concept art team finished their work on it in May. They're currently pegged for being finished in May. That will then need to go to various other teams to complete the ship. It's just narrative and vehicle concept. And then obviously the ship needs to be built out in Grey Box, and then a big process of getting it in game. I think. Okay, let's not look at that. Unless someone asks a question about it. That's some sweet RAM. There's some Yeti. 64 gigs of CAS 16. 3600 RAM, that's nice. Appreciate your board. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Just got a 32:9 monitor. So I've never been into curved or long, super widescreen, super massive monitors or anything. Maybe it is the future. I saw the Gen 12 render is supposed to drop mid-December. More features for the Gen 12 render, yes. But it's something that's going to be coming in over a few patches. Hi, how many planets can you explore in the current version of Star Citizen? You've got Hurston, Microtech, Crusader-ish. I mean, it's Gas Giant. Hurston, Microtech, Crusader. What am I missing? Hurston, Microtech, Crusader, ArcCorp. So 4 planets. And then... How many moons are there now? Oh, because they removed Levski. Oh, Levski. And lots of moons, which are big planetoids. How many moons is it? That's a good pub quiz question. I don't immediately know. How many moons in Star Citizen? 12 at the moment? I thought it was like 14 for some reason. Probably is close. Is 11, 12? Some people are saying 11. I'm going to go with the wisdom of the masses there. At least at the moment, I've reserved the right to change. With the mining gadget coming online, we'll be able to mine bigger rocks. Bigger rock solo. Yes, that is one of the ideas behind the mining gadgets. They're there to make solo mining more viable when you've got the right tools. You can also use it when you're multi-crew mining or 2 prospectors mining together. You can also use mining gadgets if you want to. What features are you most excited for in the next 2 years? Server meshing and new star systems. So jump points and new star systems. It is the dynamic economy stuff as well. Just all of it, any of it, because it's economy, and that's so important. I mean, there's to be a dozen or so features in the next 2 years, including like things like salvage and repair and refueling. Do you think the hacking part of 3.16 includes the Mercury Star runners eavesdropping and data running? No, because hacking is no longer part of 3.16. It's a 3.18 feature, I believe. Or is it 3.17? 3.17? Hacking? I can't actually remember. Gameplay. Hacking is currently part of 3.18. Thought I had getting NordVPN will make my gentleman gear bigger. Nice. It hasn't done any harm to mine. I can tell you that. What about those Titan suits? Feel like we've been teased them for years. Well, I think I've teased myself with them. It's one of the other things as well, unfortunately. I'm desperately looking forward to Titan suits. That is one of the things I want more than any other ship or vehicle. Give us more on Titan suits, Plix. Sig. Did you notice in the white box images of the Odyssey there's actually 6 seats, and it appears that it does have a hollow table? I didn't notice. Are you ironically wearing a Twitch sweater as a YouTuber? Nice. Maybe I like it. It's a nice hoodie, whatever it is. I don't know. Will the Gravlev updates finally see floating carts that we can use for looting bunkers? Do you know what? That's not too much of a mad idea. Them having floating or Gravlev trolleys and gurneys to go, you know what? These things don't need to be super physically accurate anymore, that they had lots and lots of problems with. What do we got here? When are physicalized components due? They are working on them. They are building them. They have not got a date when they're actually going to be in game. I think it's urgent. It's sort of like one of the features that needs to be in game ASAP. You know if Aaron Roberts is still working at Foundry 42? So Aaron Roberts is still working in the UK studio. Yes. I think is Aaron more focused on Squadron 42 at the moment? It seems like we had no news from him in a long time. That's true. It's the same like Chris Roberts, but it's the same as all the super higher ups. Well, not all of them all the time. But I would like to hear from them more. But they are more running the studios. Why do you think CIG has been so quiet about Squadron 42 release recently? Well, they said they were going to be a while ago. They said, look, we'll start talking about Squadron 42 more when it is closer to completion, and we're starting our marketing campaign for it, because we don't want the hype to die down once we start hyping it. Hopefully I'll be able to have a little Q&A, little ask Aaron some questions when I next get an office tour. Uh, 13 moons. Is it 13? It is 13, isn't it? I thought it was 14 for some reason. I thought it was 14 because of Levski. When atmosphere mechanics are further polished, which ships do you think are going to be impacted the most? That's all ships will be impacted. That's quite a vague question of how will they be. So the prospect is quite small and probably won't break gravity even if it's fully laden. And that might not be true of all gravities. It's going to be larger ships that are more effective, obviously. Is Theatres of War dead? No. They needed to get, as far as I understand it, they wanted to get it into a state where people playing it could go, this feels like a reasonable game that's not an alpha, it's more beta. Yeah, that's what they sort of the feel they want for Theatres of War when they release it to the world, I think. And it just wasn't there at all. Like, there are animation problems, there are networking problems, there are things they need to resolve, and they need tech for, and they need to sort of like get a bit of balance in and polish, which is going to take a while because they need that in the persistent universe first. Then it will get filtered down to Theatres of War. They're getting there. Why do you think Clan Imperium has been so quiet about Squadron? We talked about that. Derp, that is correct. Kind of two questions, Board, but if you could have one vehicle and one feature of Star Citizen in the next patch, what would it be? Could not be server meshing. Oh. Can I have a Titan seat as my vehicle? Right, that's right? And that's by far I'd want that more than anything else. And if it had to be a new vehicle or something, salvage vehicle. I'd probably be pretty happy with salvage vehicle / tow car. Yeah, something like that. Feature wise, I mean, I want salvage. I want salvage for a while, but I mean, economy features, all that sort of stuff are super important. When do you think they'll start marketing Squadron 42? We could see it in 2022. We could at the end of 2022, but we don't know. Like, the Clan Imperium take really holding it quite close to their chest. Now, they have signed a 10-year lease at their new studio, which they're taking over Q1, Q2 of next year in the UK, and they're expanding out by at least another 600 employees there, which is a lot. So, I mean, is that an indication that they're not close to completion, or is it an indication that they're going to be working on episode 2 and episode 3 for Squadron 42 straight away afterwards, or that Star Citizen is going to be hugely supported and expand even further? It's possible, yeah. Medium salvage ship would be cool, yeah. So I'd be quite happy for salvage vehicle wise, so salvage ship wise, for them just to go, you know what, we're going to put salvage modules in for things like the Caterpillar and some other ships. How important is your initial spawn location choice, if at all? Any recommendation or personal favourites? So Microtech's pretty good as a choice. I like Microtech, actually, a better way of saying that. So some of the things to consider in your initial spawn location. Does it have a place where you can spawn ground vehicles? Does it have a proper space station in orbit next to it? Because they share inventories between the space station and the ground zone and the planet. So, for example, Orison, although I love Orison, shares it with Port Olisar, which isn't a full station. It's a legacy station, and the other planets have better ones. Area 18 doesn't have a place to spawn vehicles. Neither does Orison. So Microtech or Hurston are better choices in my opinion. Right. What else have we got here? Yeah, I'm hoping we see deeper looting and that sort of stuff in 3.16 onwards. It makes sense because they're adding some more points of interest. They have talked about more interesting loot and being rewarded for searching areas. Yeah. How do you think persistent hangars are going to work? Will they add more hangars to landing zones? So, think of persistent hangars not as a physical hangar that you have control of and it's always there. Yeah. Think of a persistent hangar as you can store your gear separately to the rest of the landing zone, and you can potentially rent space there, and you can have different ships on view there, or cargo that will be shown there, or you can put your hangar flare around. That's the sort of thing by persistent hangar that they mean, I think, in this particular instance. And your persistent hangar might move to hangar 14 one day, hangar 11 the next, hangar 8 next one. Yeah? That's the short-term persistent hangars I would expect to get. But it would be them being their own sort of cargo container as well, effectively. What will the Gen 12 renderer do? So, the overall goal of the Gen 12 renderer is to have more graphical efficiency and better looking effects. Basically, so that they can have prettier, high fidelity at lower resources. Yeah? Bam. And part of that will be eventually the moving from DirectX 11 to Vulkan fully, which is much more sort of like CPU thread friendly and GPU friendly and resource friendly for your PC. So better looking, faster game. I want to make a Caesar salad with kale instead of green leaf lettuce. Well, so it's not a Caesar salad, and it's not green leaf lettuce. You'd be using romaine lettuce. But my mum says raw kale would be too harsh on my stomach. What are your thoughts? I really want to try it. I'm not sure how bad kale is. I mean, kale's great for you. It's effectively a superfood. Maybe make it with kale and something else to start with. Kale and spinach hybrid. Or kale and some form of lettuce hybrid to start with. So Zin is banned on Reddit r/food because she's a proper foodie and she's a food fascist. So she will very much people posted like, this is homemade food, and it's not properly homemade, or it's all out of a packet or something. She will call them out on it and get annoyed about it. She is a lovely... I love Sin. She's one of my favourite people in the absolute world. Does shipwrecks spawn out in asteroid fields occur again, or is it not going to be done in the current patches? You may see that in 3.16. You may see more wrecks, because it looks like they want to put derricks in, and they did mention planets, but I do think it's planets and in space. Has CIG explained how we travel to other systems yet? We go through the jump points. And we should see that next year. You see here, there's some of the Pyro system, new planet in Pyro. New outposts there. Are there reliable sources how many people play Star Citizen Monthly. Yes, so there are figures you can grab, Coligan. However, I don't have them I don't have them to hand. And if you message me later, I'll see if I can grab where I get some of my stats and stuff from. And it also remind me to do a video on that, because I want to do some Star Citizen metric stuff. Are we stuck with expired rental ships from the IE until 3.16? Or are they showing it's expired still? Quite possibly. They might just sort it out within the week, actually. Anything about changing ship thrusters, etc., to make stock ships faster? That will be a thing in the future, yes. We'll be able to change out thruster and engine kits. What section of the Redeemer is supposed to be modular? So I had heard that the Redeemer may get some modularity. Redeemer modular. See if it'll probably be referenced on my website. Or it might have been a post. Module. Yeah, so John Crew put a post in about it potentially having modularity. The lower half of the ship is planned to have modularity. But I would need to... Where is the original post? I don't have the original post in my notes. See if it's on Star Citizen Tools. Module. No. But it was talked about that potentially the lower half of the ship would be modular. So it's not 100% super confirmed, but it's... Yeah, that might be a plan. Is there a limit to the number of ships the ASOP terminal can show? I don't know. I don't know. I have seen it bug out sometimes with lots of ships. Almost certainly there will be a limit. Do you think shop modularity and the Retaliator Gold will be plausible before 4.0? It's plausible. I think it's a possibility. It does depend on it. So they wanted some modularity with that Retaliator for a little while. They've wanted that, and they've got Cousin Co's Custom Crafting, and they've been talking about modularity, and they even had the Retaliator modularity and M50 modularity to some degree on the roadmap, which has got pushed around. But I think it's still possible. Yeah. Any update on the custom player hangers being available to us? And what patch is it out in? So persistent hangers, which is at least a step towards that, is planned currently for 3.17. What's your opinion of the triage ship? The Apollo's cool. I don't own one, but I do have an Endeavour Master set, so I have a giant hospital. I think they're obviously going to be very useful, especially in places like Pyro. I think you're able to make a lot of money from providing services and respawns to people. Can Zin pop into the live AMAs with you once in a while? She will, and yeah, especially over December, she'll be in a lot. I wanted to quickly come on stream now while she's getting some beauty shots of, I think, Microtech and Horizon. I've got D&D tonight. Gonna go see some of my friends. Continue our descent to Avernus. What else have we got here? When do you think base building will show up and its gameplay features regarding along with it? So I think we're going to hear more and more and see more and more of base building in 2022. And I think it will be a highlight of CitizenCon that year. How would you feel if they just skipped a quarter for stability and performance work? I think once we have Star Citizen 4.0 and the features that brings, and potentially some more other gameplay features, I think it might be a good idea in the future to do something like that. But I wouldn't want them to do that yet, because I want the game to be in a much more sort of like less placeholder state with a lot of the components. I want physicalized components. I want server meshing. I want an extra star system. I want lots of this stuff in. The Odyssey is listed as both having a max crew of 6 and 7. Yes, it is, Honeydew, which annoys me. I suspect it will be 6. I suspect it will... Yeah, I mean, 7 will be fine as well. I mean, 6 or 7 is all good. Do you think some streamers get way too hung up on the roadmap roundup when the actual progress tracker shows a lot more of actual progress?
Hey, Bored. When do you reckon we'll see Pyro and Nyx? What do you think will come first?
Pyro come first, and I will answer your question in more detail in a second, bearded minus sir. So do I think some streamers get way too hung up on the roadmap roundup and the progress track actually says more? I mean, I think there's information to be gleaned from both. And probably some people do get too hung up on it. Yeah, I don't know. Probably some. Do you reckon we'll see Pyro and Nyx? Yes. So when do I reckon we'll see them? I think we could potentially see them both next year. If Pyro comes out in Q3 2022, we could see Nyx in Q4. If not, I think it will be early 2023 for Nyx. Pyro by Feb 2022? No. It's earliest at Q3 sort of thing. What's microtext means? It's Calliope and Uterpe. Uterp. Cleop. I don't know how to say them all. Do you know if they're going to down the Ares engine humming sound? I don't know. I would expect so, though, if you've mentioned it and it being annoying. Are planets orbiting yet? No. The plan, I believe, still is to have planets orbit stars at some point. So that's the plan. They've built tech for dynamic quantum jump splines, so that they know where to travel to when you're doing it, when you're traveling, even though the planet's moving. I believe once you're sort of within the planetary box, as it says at the area, then you'll sort of travel with it. But with ship-to-ship refueling around the corner, will they also update the Starfarer refueling functions? I would expect so. I would expect that's one of the first ships that will have the ability to refuel another ship. What is the average concept time these days for ships like the Perseus? Don't know, because the Perseus isn't in our hands yet. It purely depends on the priorities from Cloud Imperium. However, more recently concepted ships are typically going through the pipeline hugely quicker than previous ships. Overall, are you satisfied with how this year went for Star Citizen, or are you disappointed and were expecting more? That's a good question. I don't have an answer for you, Boomkata, yet. I will be doing a video sort of summary of 2021, and then I'll work it out then. So everything's a bit of a blur this year. What upcoming tech will help with frames? Well, general optimizations, and the Gen 12 renderer and Vulkan stuff should help. Video pre-recorded. Yes, so this is a mixture of things from CitizenCon and some footage that me and Zin have recorded, and interesting stuff from Inside Star Citizens. Do you think physical damage will provide air leaks in ships that have to be repaired. There is supposed to be damage control in ships. There is supposed to be fires that can break out, and components and relays that can get damaged. And I believe also oxygen can be lost in areas because of leaks and that sort of stuff. Will there be org shared hangars? I believe in the future there will be. I believe there will be a commission system that allows you to share your own hangar and ships as well. Do you have any insider info on ship tractor beam tech? I know they've been working on it, and I saw some prototypes of it a couple of years ago, and I believe it's further along, but I don't have any specifics for you. I would love to be able to move my mined materials from my prospector to my friendship and go and refine materials. Do you know when mechanics like that will be implemented? Yeah, that will be a mixture of being able to... That needs a cargo overhaul, which is actually coming in 3.18. And then the ability for the prospector to be able to detach its little saddlebags and another ship to either pick them up with either by hand or by moving them or with tractor beams. Now, we sort of have some of the tractor beam tech in game already because we do have a hand tractor beam for the multi-tool. Multi-tool. We will also be getting ship ones, so... Johnny5, I use Restream to manage my streams. I ship board and Sin. That would never happen. Number one, yeah, I think Sin finds me probably physically repulsive. I think she finds me top tier friend, though. And also... I'm more in love with her partner than I am with Zin. Like, he's a dreamboat. Oh, DC, I'm sorry. You know I love you. So the planet that's being shown is one of the new planets in Pyro. Any idea when they will add modules for the Carrack? That is a good question. I don't know. We're assuming that Carrack has modularity because Cloud Imperium basically said we're planning for it to give it modularity at one point. Or at least that was an idea for the cargo pods underneath. And hopefully they'll talk about that with the Q&A that they're going to have with the Odyssey. Do you know how CIG and the Star Citizen community in general feels about in-universe stories? I've got an idea for a story based on Star Citizen. Is there a place on Spectrum or somewhere for stuff? There's fan creation stuff for that and lore stuff for that, yeah. Pugan. So have a look there. Have a read of other people's stories and see how they've been received as well. Any plans to include Zin in any live streams? Oh god, yeah. Do you think the Ion and Inferno will be nerfed? There needs to be some tweaks, at least with its fuel. I think it runs out of fuel pretty quickly. But there'll be balance for them. Have you considered filming and sharing your D&D sessions? Not with my current group, but yes, in the future. Potentially. I've at least considered it. Do you think server meshing will kill a lot of janky physics and AI we see in the game currently? I'm really hopeful that that will be the case. Yeah, partly. I mean, server meshing does represent a bit of a milestone, but they do need to also get a load of other networking tech and animation stuff and coding stuff sorted for it. Yes. I haven't got any new information on tractor beam tech new, unfortunately. Bro, you sound younger than you look. I will take that as a compliment. It's been... I mean, I'm only 22. COVID has taken its toll on me. Has there been any news on the Polaris? ETA, question mark? No, there is no current news on the Polaris. Do you think that the new studio they opened to focus on star systems and star maps and stuff like that, so this is the Montreal studio you're talking, that's headed by Turbulence, that's expanding out people at the moment, do you think that will see them... Will we see systems a lot faster in the coming years with server meshing getting in the way? Server meshing is important for them to get out and allows them to have more star systems in the game more readily and more things going on. They are building out more star systems. They're building out Pyro and Nyx at the very least at the moment. And Odin. He's got the 600i. Curious about the gold standard rework. Any chance on a medbay or drones? Doubtful, but possible. I got a 600i Explorer. This IAE, and I got a 400i drone concept. The 400i has 40 SCE, and the 600i has 42. The luxury has 16, and they can't get me. Doesn't add up. Ideas. There's going to be a bit of a rework for the 600, so don't worry too much about it. Falcor 82! Odyssey, give me now. I cannot give you Odyssey, unfortunately. Melted a 400i and traded up to 600i into the Odyssey, and traded your 600i to an Odyssey in my exploration megapack. Okay. That's pretty sweet. What would people prefer? 890 Jump or Odyssey? You had to choose one of those ships that someone was giving you. What would you choose? Do you know if there are plans to add region sorting for org selection on the website? I would expect to see filters like that, but I haven't heard of any specifics like that yet. Between the Merchantman Perseus and Orion, which one would you upgrade to the Odyssey? Oh. That is a good question. And a hard question. I don't know. So the Odyssey is more multi-role and more focused on exploration than any of them. I'd probably upgrade the Perseus to the Odyssey out of that lineup. Overcooked with insects? No, I'm not. I'm not a fan of insect matter. Will you be making content about Starfield? I already have. I made a Starfield video yesterday. I will continue to look at Starfield and potentially make Starfield content in the future. There's a nice split of 890 Jump and Odyssey, but I think people are more pro Odyssey than 890 Jump. From the very, very small sample straw poll. Any word if they will add throttle marker so I know where my throttle is set like an X4 right now? Oh. I don't know. I mean, they are improving that experience all the time, though. Why does being a Polaris merchantman and a Rhino keep hurting me? I know, right? Some of the fantastic ships you desperately want in game. If I had to choose another system... Oh, sorry, if I had to choose another system for them to implement that wasn't Pyro or Nyx, what would it be and why? I mean, if we get the Lear system, then we would have sandworms, right? I mean, Terra would be amazing to have, as would Sol, so our star system. Yeah, I'd like custom HUDs for all the ships and better drop shadow and stuff like that. Drop shadow? Is that... When it contrasted, about to see the words without being blinded by them. I can't use that. Do that now. Board. Just use a tractor beam and space transfers. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if really we need the cargo overhaul and the detachable prospector boxes to be able to move cargo around more readily. Yeah, fair point. How cool was it to see the concept artist wear your gears 2 or 3 weeks ago in a pyro concept art session? I'm so confused by that. I love the fact they saw John Crew wear my favourite t-shirt that I own, which is Thomas the Tank Engine. Was one of the concept artists wearing my... was he wearing a BoredGamer t-shirt? Of course he was, because he's a quality boy. I appreciate all the love. Thank you so much. Thank you. I can't give you Odyssey now, unfortunately. In a nutshell, what does the Odyssey do? So the Odyssey is a large, large/capital-sized explorer ship that is built for expedition and being super self-sufficient once it leaves port. So it can mine for quantum fuel and refine it on board. It's got room for at least a medium fighter in its hangar. It's got a reasonable cargo bay and room for a vehicle in its cargo bay as well. And yeah, got a tier 2 medical bay. And it's sort of like a multi-role Corvette sort of sized ship that does a bit of everything, but it's obviously focused on that long-range expedition gameplay. And we are waiting on a Q&A for the ship to see how it matches up against the Carrack and why we'd want a Carrack over an Odyssey and an Odyssey over a Carrack. You see what I mean, sir? Well, I'm going to dash off pretty soon. I will read out some more questions and do some more questions first, though. A while ago, the Orion was on the roadmap to be completed soon. Was it? What? No. Not as far as I was aware. The Orion doubled in size. The Orion's massive now. Do you think they will return the landing gear functionality to the Dragonfly that it had when it first came to the System US? We are going to... We'll have a grav level overhaul for 3.16. Let's see what they do there. Do you think we will see a flyable banding Merchantman in 2020? It's possible we could see it at the end of the year. Possible, but it would have to be a focus from Cloud Imperium. The Odyssey doesn't have a map room or jump antenna like the Carrack. It doesn't have Explorer drones like the Carrack either. So. When is 3.16 planned for? So it looks like it's supposed to be live this month. I'd recently posited that it probably wouldn't be done this month. It would go to Open PTU this month and live in January. But it looks like Cloud Imperium are trying to push out live, if possible, between the 17th and 24th before they go on Christmas holiday. How much of a price/size jump do you think the Endeavour will get? It's very modular based, the Endeavour. It's an interesting one. I was thinking about the other day. I don't know. It's 150 for the frame without any modules. I'm gonna buy so many spaceships.
Okay, BoredGamer, nobody wants your cyberbullying, so I have a question to ask. How much would it take to donate to kill yourself? Because this is bonkers, nobody likes you.
Thank you very much for the $1. No more BoredGamer appreciated. We'll die of heat death anyway eventually. You're more than welcome to donate because of that. Thanks, mate. If anyone else wants to donate, people have donated to tell me to fuck off before. That is that's my favourite. Thanks very much. Appreciated. Wow. Favourite gun in game? I don't really have a favourite weapon in game at the moment. It's sort of because they change all the time and the FPS isn't great. It's just any gun that shoots is sort of fine. I'm not a massive fan of the snippers or the large guns at the moment. It feels really bad, man. Oh, man. Oh, thanks, that's cheered me up. And the funny thing is that might be one of my mates. Thanks. The P8's alright. Yeah. No much of a matchness at the moment because the AI doesn't really respond properly. You don't really see players that much. Senza, long-time lurker, to follow to your channel and fellow content creator. Any idea when wildlife, hostile or not, will be introduced to the game? Thanks for the content. We should play sometime. Yeah, no worries, mate. I do need to get more active at playing with my community and content creators and stuff in general. So we know that Clan Imperium have been working on space whales, space cows, and the Microtech Yeti and the Pyro Crab. So they've got dedicated teams working on the animals, AI for them, and the general models for them. There isn't a, on the roadmap, this is when they're planned to be. I'm expecting to see some bits next year, but that's a very cop-out thing for me to say. I think we'd at least start to see animals in the background more, so that could be like the space whales and stuff in the background, not necessarily much more than maybe a location you sort of see in the background. Can't really go there on Crusader because they can be hidden in the gas giant. I thought space whales were a joke. No, they are literally they live in the Crusader gas cloud, gas giant. You'll see them. You're lying in a hospital bed in Orison. You'll see them breaching the cloud, and they will be visitable locations where you'll be able to like mine things off them. It's the sort of idea there. There's also things that they might do with like Ranta and bugs and things like that as well, and Oni crabs, and the cypherpods. I would expect to start to see some bits of it next year. I mean, it's very possible they could have the Microtech Yeti in next year, things like that. It does depend on, is the AI up to the task, because the AI in Star Citizen is notoriously terrible. Expecting one day for it to be great, but a massive harpoon on Idris would be fantastic. Do you think now that they have most of their planetary tech? Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of their tools. They've got a lot of their planetary tech in. Do you think they'll be able to bring new systems at a rate that won't get bored with the ones we have? That's a good point. I don't know. They've got a dedicated studio working on gameplay area and star systems. So I would expect to start to see star systems a lot more regularly starting from next year. And then maybe after next year, at least a couple a year until we have sort of like a beta. That would be my expectation and hope. Is there Inside Star Citizen today, Board? Yes, there is. I think it's going to be on the Odyssey and a Sprint report. Do you think the caterpillar... Oh, I've lost my place. How many years have you been at this board? I don't know. 2014? Did I start in 2014? I've been doing YouTube a little bit longer than that. Do you think Caterpillar with its modular system will be able to fulfill an explorer role? Maybe. I mean, all ships will be able to do some roles beyond their sort of main focus, just to differing levels. We don't know what modular parts the Caterpillar will have in the future. It could have salvage, could have mining, could have exploration. Dedicated game servers will resolve AI as well. Potentially, some of the more server meshing stuff and server tech stuff. Yeah, but I mean, it's a mixture of a lot of stuff they need to get right. I love you, bro. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much. Think we will ever get the ability to wear clothing over flight suits? I'd totally rock an Argo hat and jacket with my flight suits. Clothing over flight suits. I think you might see different and more skins and some clothing that's technically not clothing, is armor that goes over a flight suit. And I think you might see some more clothing type flight suits. Is there a confirmed old Babbage in the universe? Good point. When do we think we'll see the Corsair? We haven't got an estimate yet. early as end of next year? Question mark. Do you watch Jared's D&D Twitch streams? No, I haven't yet. Is it worth me watching them? Are they good laugh? The Genesis. How do you think the gameplay will be AI or players having to grab tickets in spaceports? Oh, so I think we're going to see Genesis used by players and NPCs, and I think that there'll be regular Genesis sort of transports moving around, almost like the trams that we have in game at the moment, between starports, between planets, and that you'll have to get on and get a ticket. When do you think we'll see AI outside of bunkers? I think they're working literally on that now, and I think that's like a couple of patches away. ETA for the Polaris. Don't have an ETA on the Polaris yet. I think. Is that all the comments? Right. Indeed, streams are pretty good. Right, so I'm expecting Alpha 3.16 between the 17th and 24th personally. That's not a confirmation, but that's what my expectation is from rumors that I've heard and from the sort of... It makes sense. The patch is pretty light, 3.16. It does have the quantum dynamic universe sim stuff in. We don't know. They did say they wanted to put that in, but it's not on the roadmap. But it was never in the roadmap even after they announced it. So we'll have to wait and see. The fact that Jumptown version 2 or 2.0 is in there does suggest to me that quantum stuff is probably going to be in there. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Gravlev system update. Awesome. We don't know if it's going to have the DNA and face update stuff in, but I'm expecting that. Obviously, Area 18's hospital, direct ships and points of interest. So sort of expanding those points of interest out. Mining gadgets, great. Yeah, so looking forward to all that sort of stuff. A lot of people are going to be dying to trip mines for sure. And yeah, potentially more missions and gameplay there. But how do you think we'll load cargo on or off ships at outposts without being exposed to people boarding ship while we're loading and unloading? Well, I think they have defences there. And I think it will be breaking the law / give them warning / give you warning when someone approaches your ship, gets on the ship. Do you think with the cargo revamp we can expect cargo and trading missions? There will be at some point. Don't know if it's going to be with the revamp. Dedicated game servers will ensure all AI and NPC functions along with server issues are resolved. I mean, they'll help for sure. I mean, they can't solve all of them because some of it will be code related or animation related or both. Does the current state of AI worry you about the state of Squadron 42? Not so much, because the AI works a huge amount better in Vandal Swarm and Pirate Swarm. Yeah? And it's a lot more scripted, or they can be a lot more scripted, and fake stuff in Squadron 42 a huge amount more easier. So I'm actually less worried about it in Squadron. Any idea when concierge updates are supposed to happen? No updates in 2 months from Cloud Imperium. I don't know. That's a good point, though. I haven't seen a concierge newsletter for a while. What do you think the major differences between the Microstaron and Corsair will be? Well, the Corsair's a exploration ship and larger. Microstaron is a smuggler, data runner, multi-role ship sort of thing. So, are there plans to expand landing zones in terms of size and content, like Area 18, to be more cyberpunk? Expect there to be more areas to land in, and some of these landing zones to open up a bit, or have more locations on the planet to go to, or more areas for missions, but they're not going to be hugely explorable. In ship vehicle spawning when? Don't know. Should be really soon. Like, they've talked about it loads. They've got the tech for it. And they said they just needed to have a UI basic for it. And I would expect it really soon. I mean, they've got ships now as cargo containers that can have their own cargo. So why wouldn't they better have their own vehicle as a cargo / attachment point? You know what I mean? Do you think there will be organization bank accounts? I think that there'll be a permission system that allows for that. When do you think we will get the Tumble Ranger bikes? I think they'll probably maybe update us on that later next year. I think it will probably coincide with the ground physics rework. Have you heard what is the delay on beards? So we know that there's, at least currently planned, a DNA update for 3.16 for faces. The beard tech, they wanted beards and hair to look better. I know that, but I don't know much more than that. With wanting the ability to paint our ships and liveries to be more than simple colours, how do you feel about this year's Best in Show being simply a shade of blue? I didn't like the colours of the skin this year. I didn't like them last year either, though. When will the Zoom meetup be? I literally was talking about this the other day and saying, is that something that people would want? Do they want a Zoom meetup or a thing once a month that I do for Patreons and YouTube members? Do you think Cloud Imperium could add the grapple shot from Halo Infinite? Maybe we'll see little grappling hooky things. But obviously we've got the gravity tool for that. Do you think the next landing zone we will get will be fully explorable on foot? How do you mean fully? Like the next city one? No, I mean...
Disruptor missiles like in Freelancer? I think that would add a lot of fun gameplay for piracy and interdiction.
I can't see your name. Do you think they will add cruise disruptor missiles like in Freelancer? They'll add a lot more gameplay fun for piracy and interdiction. I am expecting some way of slowing down ships and locking them beyond just the quantum interdiction stuff. So something that does grapple, something that does webify. It's got to be, right? Otherwise, the fast ships will never be able to be caught. When do you think we'll see an updated Mobileglass map? I believe that the Turbulent Studio are working on it. You're on an Odyssey with others, but you don't own the ship. The owner logs off. What happens? It should stay there until everyone else has logged off. And then when you log in, you should log on that ship, I believe. But, I mean, who knows what they're going to do temporarily. It's going to be based on sharding and things like this. What ultimate and end goal gameplay loop are you most excited for? Smuggling, mining, refining, salvage. That's a good question. I mean, short, mid-term salvage. Mining and refining is exciting once they have things to craft and it affecting the economy. Can you say something about trading overhaul? When will trade become profitable and sensible again? Don't know. Maybe in 3.16. When do you think we'll see the Nick system after Pyro? As early as the end of next year, if we were super lucky and the stars aligned. Do you think they'll add quantum travel to the Argo cargo? No, it is a snub with no quantum drive. Have you heard of anything for climbing, at least limited? Or no, I haven't. I mean, it's potential we'll get grappling hooks. Potential we'll have the ability to climb. Potentially we'll be able to use the gravity tool. Obviously, there's mantling points at the moment, but it's not really proper climbing, is it? Right. Any idea what Explorer gameplay loops could entail? There's a huge amount of stuff, from finding and scanning and scanning down asteroid fields, locations for bases, surveying areas, finding stuff for missions, mapping areas, scanning down points of interest on the star map. That could be derelicts, pirate bases, could be anomalies, it could be stuff for science data, it could be a huge range of things. Will we be able to swim in underwater caves? I believe so. I believe that's sort of the sort of things you'll be able to get with the swimming and when they actually add it properly into the game. Will I be able to put a Christmas tree up in my 890 jump? Maybe not this year, but expect them to have Christmas tree flair. Given the ballistic weapons on the Ares Inferno and the Redeemer have large capacities, do you think the other ballistic weapons will get an ammo bump in 3.16? It's possible. Expect some updates and balance there. Any idea when we will add functionality of the escape pods? Death of a Spaceman hangs on that, of course. I don't think they're essential to have in the short term. I mean, they do want to have them functional. They are putting them in ships as part of their sort of gold standard pass and making sure they're ready, I suppose. They've got the tech to have them in. Right, let's answer these last few questions. How do you feel about the fact that 10 years in and we still don't know when Squadron 42 is coming out, and Star Citizen is still missing 99 Star Systems and a bunch of other gameplay packs? Is this normal? Well, this is normal for Star Citizen. And nothing about Star Citizen is normal, because it's a unique project. Like, very unique. You can certainly criticise Cloud Imperium for delays and inefficiencies and stuff like that, for sure. Missing Star Systems aren't really much of a big deal, because it's the tech, the underlying tech, that they need to get out and need to complete really first, and then they can build that gameplay area. They've got a huge gameplay area with Stanton. Yes, 99 Star Systems does sound like a lot, but it's not really once they have the tools and all the biomes already done, like quite genuinely. I don't actually think that's a huge deal. The gameplay mechanics not being there, that is much more of a big deal. But I do think we'll see sort of something similar to a beta in the next 4 to 5 years. Star Citizen's obviously signed a lease for the next 10. And yeah, we don't know when Squadron 42 is coming out, which is a bit of an annoyance to me as well. I wish they were sort of like, we are going to release it now, but they've basically said, look, we want it to be the best game it could possibly be, and we're not just going to release it. We don't have a publisher for that very purpose. Hopefully, it'll all come together and be fantastic because of that. It might be like, oh my god, it's taken so long, and it's a good game, but was it worth the wait? I'm hoping that it is worth the wait. I think it will be. But that is purely anecdotal and biased. Have you found your preferences have been changed as they started bringing back more gameplay loops online? I'm waiting for the game to be more complete before I decide exactly what I want to do. But no, I'm much more of an economy player. So base building, mining, and that sort of stuff will be the things I mainly focus on. A bit of a business empire would be the idea. 600 gold standard release soon. So they're supposed to be updating it. It's Death of a Spaceman, Death of Faction Reputation, recertifications, an early form of Death of a Spaceman. So that's a good point, Sketch LP. So expect reputation loss when your character dies and you have to make a new character, but a little tiny bit of a death tax moving all the assets over. We don't know to exactly what extent that's going to be, and we also don't 100% know how many times you can be cloned, and is there just going to be some really great medical insurance and stuff that you can buy to ensure your life better. It's less likely you'll ever need to actually make a character even if you die quite a bit. How do you think they will balance ship repair, refueling gameplay with repair and refuel at stations? Seems like a tough thing to get right. Yeah, but it's going to be dynamic. You might see it in 3.16 with the quantum system taking control of those costs. Why is the latest patch the buggiest patch I've played in years? It's not for me by any means. I don't... Harry, I'm not having those problems at all. Well, I don't know what problems you're having, but it's certainly not the buggiest patch. It's pretty solid from my point of view. Squadron 42 when? I don't know. I'm hoping end of next year, but we don't know. That is optimistic of me. Does CIG require a certain quality of camera to properly demonstrate fidelity? Probably. The whole ground vehicle physics, not the grav lev, are strangely odd to me. Yes, it's a big overhaul. They're actually working on it at the moment. And they said they wanted it to feel more like a ground racing-y game, sort of a bit more tactile feel to it, and it to be better. They know it's not great. Canning out Gator 9, thank you very much for the sub. Very much appreciated. Tier 2 as well. I'm not even sure what that means, but it means you give me more money. I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everyone, for all the questions and the donations and the love. And it's appreciated. Even if you only donated $1, tell me to kill myself. It's all good. I mean, it's still a donation, and I appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh, wow. Stodulok. Thank you very much for the ridiculous amount of gifted subs. Duportus, Freyak, Sinjunju, Minty Fizz, Comanzel, Piptaz, Mr. Mentalist, It's Six, Jazz Fropo, and Jack Porkins Red. Thank you very much for all being forced to sub to my channel. You're a star. Thank you so much, sir. Sub hype, donations, Love you all. Hey, Bored, if you're a betting man, which of the bigger ships that have been concepted for years would you expect to be out first? The Idris. Well, actually, the Javelin over the Idris at the moment, for reasons. But if you're talking about beyond the Idris and Javelin, Polaris. I think Polaris then banning merchantman at the moment, personally, but I don't have the data to back that up beyond gut feeling. Does seem like we're getting a bit of quanta with Jump Town version 2. That is true. And yes, I mentioned it in my latest video talking about the quanta stuff. So go check that out. Whatever happens to the crossbow? The crossbow will still be in game. There will be a very, very, very futuristic, but still traditional crossbow, and the crossbow bolts sort of like extendable crossbow bolts, so you can have them as ammo. I really like that idea. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Very much appreciated. You have a great start of December. And if you've got any questions for me, you can get me at rich@boredgamer.co.uk. You can get me on my discord.gg/boredgamer. I'll try and get Zin in for the next stream, and we'll do some gameplay, and we'll be filming out stuff this week anyway, and next week, and throughout December. Thanks very much, guys. Hopefully we'll have a 3.16 Evo build relatively soon, and then quite quickly out to PTE, I would expect. But we'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. You take care, and I'll see you. Actually, 1 second. We're going and host someone else. That's a good point. Actually, 1 second. No, yeah, that's me. I don't want to host me. Well, I sort of do. Who's online? Oh, I'll pass you over to Moist Noodle because I love the boy. He's my favorite, one of my favorite little baby boys. Flash raid. Moist. Give the man some love. Thank you so much for watching today. You guys are great. And Seawolf UK, thank you very much for the £2. I love money. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Namaste and all that jazz. You take care, guys. Love you loads.